Welcome to Session 1.3 on Key Concepts, a gender-equal, human rights-based approach. The impacts of disasters can threaten human rights such as the right to life, information, health, livelihoods, and property. Human rights are universal and inalienable. This means that all women, girls, boys, men, and persons with non-binary gender identities are entitled to human rights. They cannot give them up, and they cannot be taken from them. Human rights are indivisible, and they cannot be ranked. No specific right is more important than the other. Human rights are also interdependent and interrelated. The realization of one right often depends on the realization of others, fully or in part. However, while human rights are universal, inequalities in societies around the world mean that disasters impact certain groups differently. Women, as well as other marginalized and disadvantaged groups, tend to be more exposed, have fewer chances of survival, and have less opportunities to recover from disasters. Human rights and gender equality are core principles of the Sendai Framework. Duty bearers, such as the state, have a moral and legal obligation to respect, protect, and promote human rights. They are obligated to prevent human rights violations in the face of disasters. Reducing disaster risk is therefore not about charity. It is about protecting and promoting the human rights of all persons, without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. This is why all aspects of disaster risk reduction, or DRR, must be guided by a gender-equal human rights-based approach. A human rights-based approach, or HRBA, ensures that all women, girls, boys, men, and persons with non-binary gender identities are able to mitigate, prepare for, and recover from disasters. It acknowledges that inequalities lead to higher levels of exposure, vulnerability, and risk. It therefore focuses on understanding, addressing, and eradicating underlying drivers of vulnerability, and realizing the human rights of the most marginalized, such as women, children, persons with disabilities, the elderly, indigenous peoples, and minorities. There are 5 key principles of HRBA for DRR. The first 2 are equality and non-discrimination. Women, girls, boys, men, and persons with non-binary gender identities are equal as human beings and entitled to their human rights without discrimination of any kind. This means that DRR laws, policies, and interventions must target all persons equally. They must not exclude anyone on the basis of their gender, language, religion, sexual orientation, economic status, or other factors. They should aim to change the societal norms that keep women and other groups marginalized and have the long-term goal to eradicate inequalities. The next 2 principles are participation and inclusion. All parts of society, including women, young people, indigenous peoples, and other identified groups, are entitled to active, free, equal, and meaningful participation in DRR. They must be able to voice their priorities and needs and participate in decision-making processes that affect their lives and well-being. Legal DRR frameworks must be sensitive to the specific needs and attributes of women, girls, boys, men, and persons with non-binary gender identities. The last principle is accountability. States and other duty bearers are accountable for the gender-equal observance of human rights. This means that they are obligated to comply with the norms and standards enshrined in international, regional, and national human rights instruments. They must also be transparent about challenges and opportunities for change. In the context of DRR, this means that they must actively promote the human rights of all persons to ensure that women, girls, boys, men, and persons with non-binary gender identities can mitigate, prepare for, survive, and recover from disasters. Women, girls, boys, men, and persons with non-binary gender identities have to know what rights they are entitled to. If duty bearers fail to uphold them, rights holders are entitled to institute legal proceedings against duty bearers before a competent court. Disaster risk assessments are fundamental to DRR. They help us to understand the risks that society faces, as well as their probabilities and impacts. However, people are exposed to different degrees and types of risks based on their gender and socioeconomic background. This is because marginalized groups tend to have fewer resources, be isolated from support networks, and have less safe coping mechanisms. By adopting a gender-equal human rights-based approach in the disaster risk assessment process, you can more accurately assess disaster risks and meet the needs of women, girls, boys, men, and persons with non-binary gender identities. A gender-equal, human rights-based approach in the disaster risk assessment process focuses on collecting data disaggregated by sex, age, disability, and other socioeconomic characteristics to identify which groups are the most exposed and vulnerable to hazards. Engaging with the most at-risk groups through participatory risk assessments to unpack the root causes of their vulnerability as well as their capacities, risk perceptions, and coping strategies. Using this quantitative and qualitative data to inform DRR strategies that protect the most vulnerable while addressing the root causes of their vulnerabilities and building on their capacities.